Azzedine Azzimani, Faslı Üniversitesi'nde siyaset bilimi alanında doktora yapıyor. Şu an Amerika'da ikamet ediyor kendisi. Columbus, Ohio'da araştırmalar yapmak üzere şu an orada. Özellikle kamusal alan, İslam dünyasında kamusal alan kavramı üzerine çalışıyor ve doktora tezinde İslam dünyasında kamusal alanın dinamikleri, Türkiye örnekliği gibisinden Mısır ve daha çok Fas karşılaştırmalı olarak bir doktora tezi hazırlıyor. İşte İslam siyaset düşüncesi, siyaset felsefesi çerçevesinde çeşitli çalışmaları var. Bugün de birazcık aslında çok da spontane gelişen bir mevzuydu. Bu Arap Baharı gerçekleşiyor. Hani bu bağlamda kendisi bu işlerle ilgilenen birisi, siyaset bilimci Faslı. Hani bu çerçevede bu kamusal alan kavramının dahilinde şey nasıl oluyor? Yani Arap Baharı'nı nasıl yorumlayabiliriz, nasıl konuşabiliriz diye şey yaptık. O da sağ olsun geldi buraya. İnşallah biraz bu çerçevede kamusal alan kavramı dahilinde biraz Arap Baharı'nı bize anlatacak.
And I'm really happy to be here, and also I'd like to have an opportunity to thank my friend Hussein for inviting me and introducing me to this institute. Well, I'm not going to present my research paper. He just told me like this lecture like 2 days ago, so only have the opportunity to share some ideas, general ideas about the topic. I try to introduce a little bit in somehow sort of theoretical aspect of this issue, more than going into details on what is going on in the ground. So everyone knows, So I'm going to try to make sense to this connection between the public sphere and the Arab Spring. So what is the connection here, and if it is possible to use this modern concept into political theory within this new context of what we call public of the Arab Spring. In political theory and also in social theory, in general, classical understanding of approaches, traditional understanding was based on modernization approach, which based on rational understanding of political and social action, and everything which is rational, based on order, based on linear historical process in terms of Hegelian understanding, and this is doesn't give floor to what is informal, what is not which is irrational in somehow, So this theoretical background within social and political theory doesn't help a lot in understanding, as I will argue, to understand what is going on within the Arab Spring. Public sphere, as understood within the first basis down on this concept by German philosopher in his thesis about structural change of public sphere and within what he called bourgeois society, which means that he's using economical approach to the relation between state and society, and call for a new third place between society and state, which is independent of the state and market. And Habermas, in his work, was trying really to make sense to the concept of democracy within its crisis in the context of authoritarian and totalitarian context, Nazi regime, and in the 60s of the last century. So it was trying to rebuild the notion of democracy and looking for another place when democracy took place, more than the state itself, the formal sphere, what you call the political authority sphere, and also the economical sphere. So citizens, in this understanding, was served as a political actor, rational political actor, and state is the order that embodied this this understanding or this rational political actor. So how we can understand paradigm, a new paradigm within this shift came out from the Arab Spring. I'm not going to talk about different examples because even if the Arab world has similarities in terms of culture and difference and religion and language, but the Arab Spring has its local realities. So each case has its own specificity. Moroccan case is not like Tunisian case, Algerian case, or Egyptian case. So I'm going to choose to talk about the Egyptian case, which is for me the most important and the crucial, will have a crucial role in the future of this Arab Spring. In Egypt, we do have in the past what called Kifaya. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this movement of Kifaya. Kifaya movement was established like 4 years before the Arab Spring took place in Egypt. And Kifaya in Arabic, actually in Egyptian language, means that's it's enough, stop it. So and this Kifaya movement was just like a small group, like hundreds of people, intellectuals from within different references like leftists, Islamists, liberals, also some Christian, Christians, Muslims. So when we ask the question about Kifaya movement, if it's a social movement or sort of social movement, classical social movement, it's hard to say that it's a classical social movement because it doesn't have the ordinary classification that we know in the classical social movements. And if we ask if it is a new social movement, also we can't really compare it to new social movement like the environmental social movement, feminist social movement, sexual social movement. So it's less than classical social movement, and it's more than new social movement. So what is Kifaya? I'll argue that the Kifaya was in somehow sort of informal public sphere. So it's not based on ordinary relation between state and the classical actors, social, political, and the organization within it wasn't clear enough to say that it's in somehow close to classical social movements. Like even the meeting and the appointment were in a different way. Like people just call each other and just make appointments and stop by the street and make, you know, call against the movement. It was a small, very small group, and it was developing, you know, in somehow day by day, and this development will make sense to something going on in the ground that we can describe it as a new public sphere. We never, you know, the Brotherhood, you know, Muslim Brotherhood as, you know, a classical Islamic movement, never went to the street in a formal way against the regime. And you guys know that it was part of, you know, participatory approach. They participated in different elections within the Mubarak regime, and even some you know, researchers were asking questions about how they are negotiating with the old political system, and that's, you know, still an ongoing, you know, debate on the Muslim Brotherhood. So, but some of the young people related to Muslim Brotherhood were part of the Kifaya movement, as not as, you know, Ikhwan, you know, members, but as, you know, people who are seeking, you know, change, you know, in the country. So, what is the problematic now within this description? What is the issue? What is the issue here? If we ask the question, you know, a clear question, what is the main result of what we're seeing now as Arab Spring? What is the main, you know, things that is, you know, going on in the street? What is, how we can describe it in real sense? When we ask this question, someone can tell you that the people are in the street, you know, million, you know, demonstrations in the street, million, you know, persons. Someone can tell you that we are overpassing the classical way of demonstrating against the political regime. Some can tell you that now people are passing you know, the lacking of self-realization and you know, truth in themselves. But in my understanding, and that's what I argue in many articles that I wrote on Arab Spring and public sphere, is that the masses in the street declare themselves as a new actor, you know, anti-regime, and also differentiate to the classical social movement. So, and I mean that street is not people who just like, you know, made a appointment, you know, in Facebook and, you know, meeting the street and call for the collapse of the political system. It's, for me, a public consciousness that was developed within a very complicated process. So that's what I call the informal publics, you know, informal public. In terms of the classical political theory, especially with Ibn Habermas, he never mentioned the rule of this informal public sphere. He see that the formal public sphere is what we mean by public sphere is the formal one, the ordinary one, which is like embodied by associations, civil society, public salons and cafeterias and so on. So for me, the new issue of the Arab Spring is the rule of masses. This is, for me, very, very important. So how this the masses went to the streets and built this process of or this dynamic of calling for change. And the statement was clear. الشعب يريد إسقاط النظام. So people went al-irada. There is sort of volunteer which is very clear that people went to change this political this system, this regime. And it was clear the first time when some young people brought on the Facebook known as Khalid Said page, which was the first declaration of the movement against the regime. Khalid Said page declared some points that people are, these young movements are calling for. So when the state, and this is very important, when the state went into a reactionary, violent reactionary to masses, the masses declare themselves as a new political actor in the street, as an informal political, new and formal political actor in the street. Totally different, like, for example, to the Moroccan case, which makes some confused about the masses. The king of Morocco, declared a constitutional reform, so he already make it easy for himself to stop this conflictual or give sense to this masses which is in an ongoing process to be an ordinary and formal actor, to be a new political actor. And this masses action has two very significant character in its nature. It is the first. It is individualistic. People were not like come from Muslim Brotherhood in the meeting in the same way how they deal with it within like 60 years to go to the street. Totally different. It was sort of individual understanding that my number has meaning in the mass to build this new political actor. So everyone decided within himself to go to the street and sacrifice for the holy day and to spend the whole day in the street. And this is have a very important aspect that I'm going to talk about in a few minutes. The second aspect of the nature of this publicity is that it's invisible, has invisible publicity. It's not declared very clear where these people are coming from. You can find, people from different backgrounds, from different religious reference, and also even if Salafists who are not an ordinary social movement, Salafists never have social movement that has like process, organizational process. It is just based on charismatic leaders that build their dynamics within an understanding of Islam and Islamic tradition. In the whole this process, the structural and the systematical understanding of social movement is not there at all. The ordinary process of demonstrating again political system is not there. So, can we use the anarchic approach to analyze the street? people who knows Arabic, al-Ba'd al-Fawdawi. It is, and like fuqaha, the Muslim, you know, so scholar call it fitna. So, is it a fitna? Is it anarchic? And anarchic actually is a theory within social theory. Within the Tahrir Square, there was a very known song that everyone in the street knows and receipts. They call, I'll say it in Arabic and I'll translate it, الشعب أحبك يا وطني. I love you, my country. What does it mean? This gives sense to the informality that of public sphere I'm talking about, which has more symbolic aspect than the ordinary reactionary acting to the political system that we know within different experiences, especially in the European East, Romania, and so on. So this time will lead us to conclude that like revolution in the Egyptian experience was like sort of expressing love, expressing peace. We know how the picture of Muslim scholar, for instance, Sheikh al-Qadawi, who is very known Muslim scholar, Muslim will leading a prayer, and within the Tahrir Square, and the Christian are respecting all this, you know, sort of praying has meaning that there is this what we call this symbolic informal publicity. I mean by publicity as you know, the public use of reason, the Kantian understanding. So the revolution in this context expresses a system of values, not a system of ideologies. And even the Muslim Brotherhood, they didn't start the revolution from within the first momentum. They came out after, like, the revolution started in 25 January. After 1 day or two, they came and joined the street, and this was one of the confusing, you know, things within the relation between the revolutionary movement and the Muslim Brotherhood. And it's still this problem is still ongoing. Some youth movements, they don't recognize the Muslim Brotherhood as a revolutionary movement, even it's now in the power as, you know, its candidate for presidency is president of Egypt. So it's more than a formal reaction to the regime. It's expressing a new formal, new informal public actor within symbolic understanding aspect that has an individual meaning, individualism. I'm using individualism not in terms of liberal mind, Fardaniya. I'm using it in terms of the Quranic term, Dhatiya. Dhatiya. I don't know if you guys get it, but
is it the same thing?
No, it's not the same. Fardaniya or individualism is based on a fard, the individual. So the individual thinks just on his own, you know, interest. But Dhatiya is that you express yourself within the group. You sacrifice. You spend all the day on the street within, you know, the Tahrir Square. Is it? Are you, you know, foolish in this understanding? If we take out the symbolic, you know, understanding of it, this is a sacrifice. It's more than, you know, ordinary movement. It has more. It has. Let's use the philosophical terms. It has a transcendental, meaning. Religious, symbolic, spiritual. I will use the Quranic word al-fitra. It has an al-fitra, fitrat Allah التي فطر الناس عليها. The essential nature, and this essential nature is based on the value of dignity, justice, freedom. And it comes within this informality to express itself within a clear mind and a clear situation, which leads to the change of the system. So, I'm going to make just one point and I'm going to stop to give you a floor to express your ideas on that topic. Is it enough? Is it a succeed process of revolution, or is it in the middle way, or is it failed process? I'm talking here about the Egyptian, especially the Egyptian, because this has too many details within different contexts. When political parties declared their candidate for presidency, we started a new discourse. The new discourse took place, and Muslim Brotherhood declared its candidate, and the regime, the military regime, also supported. Also, Shafiq, who was one of the leaders who worked with Mubarak in his office. So people were experienced confusion among two paths. The Muslim Brotherhood path and the old regime path. After within the candidature process. The military declared what they called constitutional declaration, which is not completely constitution as we know classically. So, and this constitution, this declaration, defined many restrictions to the new president. The main point was that the declaration of the war declaration, will be a responsibility of the military and not the president, which is totally different than the old constitution. Since Mubarak was part of the military, now you have a president who is not part of the military. So it was clear that the picture has two sides. A military regime has its own legitimacy, and the Brotherhood who has also its popular legitimacy. إرادة شعبية, popular legitimacy, and في مقابل إرادة عسكرية شرعية عسكرية, military legitimacy. And both, they have the same, history, background from 50th century, last century. Start this process, this conflict between those legitimacies. And the people, the Egyptian people, and especially intellectuals, start to talk about الدولة العميقة, the deep state, or let's say the non-clear state, the hiding, agenda of state. So today, the issue will be the issue is clear that if this informality, this symbolic power that lead to this process of deconstructing the political system will lead to reconstructed state, because those are two different dynamics. Changing the system doesn't mean automatically that we build a new state. This is another process. This is the institutional process. So, if in the same time that the revolution is trying to build its constitutional expression, you know, we have a candidate from within the revolution who became president. Also, the reactionary and the hidden agenda of the military will go through institutionalizing itself as the formal, actor that has its legitimacy, and this is really the very crucial and dangerous, question that Egypt will face is the violent state, which we saw very clearly, and which try to define these formalities will influence this informality and take its powerful, symbolic powerful, or this symbolic will continue to deconstruct the state and society and give it a new into a new and modern system of value. I will stop here and you guys share your ideas. Thank you.
I don't know if it is a meaningful question, but what can you say about the timing of this Arab Spring? You mentioned already in Egyptian case, the Kifaya movement, so there were some repercussions of this revolution. So why now? Why not in 2005, but now, 2000?
Actually, this is very important question, and give me a chance to develop one of the missing idea. The process of building the dynamic of demonstration against the political regime, Mubarak regime, has two stages. The first stage starts from within small groups, and Kifaya is an example. This small group, led by some of very influential intellectual Egyptian intellectuals like Dr. Abdul Wahab al-Masiri, who is a very famous, philosopher in Egypt, and also some Abu Futuh was part of it also, and many of other very famous and very respectful intellectuals. But it was very elitist, Nakhbawiyya. It was elitist, movement, and people don't, know about it a lot. But by time, people start know that this movement doesn't have to do with the classical social movements, Muslim Brotherhood, Salafist, national movements, that has its own agenda and within the conflict to the political regime, which takes place for a while, for a long time. This small group leads to the second stage, which is the big, numbers, what Egyptian calls al-millioniyya, the million, of the street, and give a powerful, turning point that the small numbers has meaning when it's embodied in symbolic understanding. So people are no more afraid within a millionaire, public in the masses in the street, and this second, stage of this dynamic of protest make it possible.
But how does it spread from the elitist group of people to the general public? What makes them so? What makes the movement, spread around the country? What are the tools or?
Yeah, actually there is tools but even the Facebook, tools play a very important role. As you know, one of the leaders, young leaders of the movement, Ghani, wrote a book. He's one of the managers of Facebook administration in the Middle East, and he's the first one who made the page of Khalid Said, and he's very famous as, you know, a revolutionist young man. And he wrote a book about 2.0 revolution, but I don't think that it's a 2.0 revolution. It's a self-realization, you know, self-identification of informed people, and the symbolic of the small numbers, you know, Kifaya movement, the young people, and also the blocks, you know, the blocks move, you know, dynamics start from, you know, 2002. It was parallel to Kifaya movement, you know, and it has there's a long history there in Egypt with this young people who are using blocks to make it clear how this regime is corrupt, and, you know. So what I mean is that the turning shift was not materialistic. It's not clear. It was more symbolic, that people confessed that it is time to go to the street and to change this, you know, political regime. There is many tools within this dynamic, but I argue that the symbolic power was more than those tools.
What do you mean by symbolic power?
I mean by symbolic power that people believe that it's time to express themselves, to overcome, you know, to be afraid of the security agents. So it was clear that also it was clear in my talk that the ordinary social movement wasn't in the first time in the flow. So it comes after, and this is what's clear. And some of, you know, the young people were asking questions about, you know, Muslim, especially Muslim Brotherhood. Where is Muslim Brotherhood? The first time, the Muslim Brotherhood never declared that it is officially participating in against the regime. Some of members, in an official way, were part of it. So that's what I mean by the informality and the symbolic power of this, you know, this act.
You used Habermas from theoretical perspective. But is there anything from Islamic tradition that you benefit in terms of articulation, theoretical articulation for Arabs?
Yeah, actually, Habermas defined public sphere as an arena, rational arena, where people use their reason publicly and freely to express themselves and to discuss. Discussion is very important here. To discuss issues that has public interest. So this is so rationality should be rational argumentation here, and should be free. People should be free to be part of this this category process, and public interest. So those are three dimensions of this what we call public sphere. But Habermas never recognized the informal publics. The public sphere developed within the relation between the state and the market. And that's why he called it bourgeois public sphere, definitely. Which it means that it's based on an economical, you know, development. In Egypt, it's totally different. You don't have, you know, the bourgeois, which is developed within a normal process. The economy is controlled by like the regime. So you don't have this this normal process that took place in the European experiences that Habermas described within the England experience, and also French and Germany. The symbolic, or you can call it irrational aspect of publicity in Muslim world. Also the religious aspect. It's not religious actually, revolution, but it has its meaning. Many people joined the revolution within religious understanding, but still it's a secular revolution. It's not at all religious, because it gives a floor to a different movement, a different groups, a different references. It's not based on ordinary ideology that expresses itself as we know in a Marxist approach of revolution. So can we really use here the Muslim understanding, intellectual Islamic understanding of public interest, maslaha al-umumiyya?
So there are some people who use, but I'm not sure if it is suitable for this.
It can be,
Why not? Why not? I mean.
Yeah. No, I'm asking a question.
Sure.
Yeah. It could be part of it, but still, the process of revolution doesn't express an intellectual understanding. It expresses a symbolic reactionary in a momentum that's maybe going to build this process of analyzing. And one of the greatest Muslim scholars who's very known of his works about Maqasid al-Sharia, which is Dr. Ahmad al-Raisuni. He wrote a book about revolutions and Maqasid al-Sharia, trying to explain it within this understanding. Because you do have, on the other hand, of some Muslim preachers, some du'at, who are against the revolution, who use the term fitna. And this was very clear in the beginning of the revolution when it just started. So we can really use the public interest, المصلحة العامة أو المقاصد الخمسة in our understanding of this revolution, but still it is an open floor for discussion to analyze and to understand. Give it a meaning within our tradition. Is there any more? Yeah. Actually, you can explore Salvatore's work about public sphere in Muslim society. Salvatore. Armando Salvatore. Yeah. So he used the term tradition and trying to make it clear that tradition doesn't, conflict the modern understanding of public sphere. So it's going to be maybe a historical and cultural background of the modern concept. So I think it is very interesting in that sense.
So are there any people other than Salvatore who are trying to look at the Islamic public sphere?
Yeah, actually there is many new orientalists like Ekelman. He did very good work, especially on the late Ottoman Empire, trying to make sense to the public interest and how it expressed itself in the Ottoman experience, especially trying to analyze the role of ulama in trying to move the public from their private interests to public engagement, and he analyzed also the endowment of Awqaf as an institution of public service. But still, there is a room of discussion here, because public spirit, it hasn't its subjectivity. It's not a subjective place. It's an objective place, and it is separate from the state and the market. And the time when you give it its subjectivity, it will not be anymore public sphere. Because public sphere was a solution of the stacking process of the state, the authoritarian or totalitarian state, and also the economical controlling of the human life. So that's why sociologists call it the third place. It is within, somewhere, but you can define it and describe it physically, and give it clear. And there is others who criticize him deeply, Habermas, such as Nancy Fraser, also if you're interested in, also José Casanova, who wrote very important work about what she calls a public religion, and she came across Islam just not in a deeply way, but just so. And there is others. If you are interested in, I can write for you list. So thank you so much for your time.